Welcome to the Backpage Podcast. I'm Matthew Nash and I'm here with my co-host Grant Ahern, as always, on tour down at Hove today, Sussex County Cricket Club with the one and only Fynn Hudson-Prentice.
Thanks guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you on. Lovely with the backdrop of Hove, nice to be down by the seaside. Not for you though, because you live here and you're here all the time.
It's still nice,
Yeah.
No, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, well, you're on the home straight of the season, aren't you now? Like, after such a kind of long summer, you know, you must see the wood for the trees, I suppose, a bit now.
Yeah, it's almost weird to think of it that way because you have all the build up in sort of January to March and you're really looking forward to what's going to pan out, and then all of a sudden we're thinking about the last sort of 6 weeks of the season, so it's crazy to think how quickly it sort of goes on by. But yeah, it's looking forward to the home stretch. It's going to be exciting for us.
Of course, the business end, you know, obviously you've gone through a lot to get here, and you know, there's a certain amount, I suppose, of like having gone through so many matches to get to this point, which is the crucial end. September's going to be big for Sussex, isn't it, in the Championship and in the Blast, and now you've got to find a second wind, I suppose, to get over the line in both of them. Yeah,
it's interesting the way the schedule sort of works out in that aspect. Like you almost top load so much with the Red Bull. I think we played six games in 6 weeks or 7 weeks or something right at the start, and then we've only played 3 Red Bull games in the last sort of two and a half, 3 months. So it's sort of like that period you go into the white ball. Yeah, okay, we did really well in the T20, so it's given us the extra motivation as well. With obviously a quarter final and hopefully finals day coming up. But again, it's sort of like the T20 is top loaded as well. They play 14 group games, then you wait 5 weeks to play a quarter final. But yeah, the lads are obviously really excited for it. We've had a lot of the younger players playing throughout the month of August in sort of the 50 over stuff, end of July, start of August. So a lot of the players that sort of were frontline in the 4-day and the T20 have sort of been either away with 100 or had a bit of a break. So fingers crossed everyone sort of comes back reinvigorated with a lot of energy for the last sort of five Red Bull games and hopefully 3 T20 games.
What's been the change in the Championship for Sussex this year? Because I remember seeing a lot of games that were drawn last year, couldn't quite get over the line. What's sort of been that kind of change? Because obviously top of Division 2 and trying to get promotion now. Has something just clicked this year?
Yeah, you could say that. I don't think anything's particularly changed. I think having Ollie Robinson available for the majority of the season's helped. Because he's obviously I'd say still one of the best seam bowlers in world cricket, in Red Bull cricket. I wouldn't say anything's particularly changed. I say that we've recruited really well. We've got John Simpson and Danny Lamb, who've both been outstanding for us. Obviously the younger players that have played throughout the last sort of 2-3 seasons as well are all starting to get that experience of how to win games, and all seem to be getting better and better every game we play. And then having someone like Jaden Seals come in for the top half of the season, he bowled outstandingly, like good pace, swung the ball, took loads of wickets. Him and Ollie opened the bowling is a genuine test seam attack. And then Danny coming on and myself sort of at first, second change sort of took a bit of the loading off of us and the pressure off of us, which meant we could sort of just go about our own thing. Which is sort of, I think, with the bowling has sort of helped as a team. Obviously having them two around, and then me and Danny being fairly experienced as well in first class cricket. So I think maybe just the experience side of things, having Ollie available, having John Simpson come in, do really well with the bat and the gloves, captain the side really well, Danny, and then just the young players. I wouldn't say too much particularly changed, but the extra experience, extra year or two maybe that we've had has really put us in good stead.
Fantastic. Just before I hand over to you, Grant, do you feel like you're taking on more experience then, as someone who's got that in the tank? You know, you're talking about guys with experience and know-how. Do you feel like that as a player now? That doesn't mean old, by the way. That just means someone who's been around the game.
It's been funny since I came back to Sussex. I came back in 2021 at the end of that season, and I was 25 at that point, and I was the oldest player in the team by 2.5 years.
Right.
So it was remarkable at that point. I don't think I'd only played about 25 games at that point, and I felt like I was one of the senior players, which is crazy to think. I definitely feel like I'm getting there now. I sort of know my own game very well, which is something that I don't think I did 2 or 3 years ago. So I think as soon as you start to understand your own game, then you can start to sort of pass on things to other people, which I think has been great for me. I had a really good year last year. I sort of found myself quite, for the first time, I think, in first class cricket, where I sort of felt like I definitely belonged and I could like play to a very good standard, which is crazy to think, considering I made my debut about 10 years ago now. That's taken that long, but yeah, to sort of get that feeling of belonging and that I can actually provide, and from that moment on, really, I sort of feel like I can help out in the dressing room and sort of be a senior player, experienced player at 28. Yeah, I do feel like I have a bit of responsibility, but again, like with someone like Ollie coming back, we've got Tom Haynes as well, who's played a lot of first class cricket. Tom Alsop's played a lot. We have got senior players around, obviously forgetting John Simpson, who's played over 200 first class games. So we've got people who have obviously now coming into our side that have played a lot of cricket. So I think it's quite shared around in that aspect, compared to what it might have been 3 years ago when I came back. But yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Obviously you're top of Division 2, and you're in the quarterfinals of the Blast.
Yeah.
Are you focusing solely on getting the promotion sorted, or do you genuinely think both you can win the Blast and get promotion? I mean, that'd be incredible into the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 3 games of cricket when you think about it in the Blast. I mean, the group stage obviously dominates. You have 14 games. I think we started really well. We had a bit of a faltering phase in the middle and then finished strong. And then it's only 3 games in the Blast. We win 3, win the whole thing. So we're closer than we were at the start of the year.
Has that taken some of the focus away from the promotion?
Not at all, to be honest. Yeah, it's again, as I said, it's so weird because you go through the periods of the season where it was like at the start there was no white ball focus really. Like, obviously people were talking about it in plans and the lads would train a little bit behind the scenes, but because there was 7 first class games in the first 8 weeks or whatever it was, then the T20 started. It's all T20. The focus sort of does tend to just be dominated at that one period of time and then it changes. I think the lads had a really good winter this year with the white ball. Like we had a lot of focus on white ball cricket this year because we lost Ravi Bopara, who's obviously a big T20 player, and we weren't getting like the big. Last year, or the last 2 years, we've had like 4 or 5 overseas players sort of filtering in and out. We knew we were going to have Hughesy and Nathan McAndrew. We knew they were going to be able to do a good job, but then a lot of reliance was going to be on young players getting opportunities. So there was a large focus on it. I think that's shown. Like, a lot of the lads did work on their white ball game, and then we weren't really sure where we were going to get to. We weren't sure how far we'd go if we win any games or if we'd end up where we are. And I think after 4 or 5 games in the competition, we sort of found out that we are a fairly good team. I think we sort of like started to get that belief, like we won 1 or 2 games and it wasn't a fluke. Like, it was that we're playing good cricket. So yeah, I think the initial focus this year, I think Farbs has spoken about it a lot, saying that we were focusing on promotion in the red ball and then sort of rebuilding a little bit in the T20, but I think that rebuild has happened a lot quicker than we think. Obviously it's only been the first 2 months of the T20 and whatever, it's only been 14 games, but I think we're definitely looking to win it now. We've got to where we are. But again, the focus is still on both formats. I think that the 4-day stuff's going to be crucial. That was like the big goal at the start of the year, was to make sure that Sussex are playing Division 1 cricket next year. And we've got a couple of big games coming up in that to sort of, I think we've got Yorkshire and Middlesex still to play in both of the last 5 games. So us 3 sort of at the top of the moment.
2 tough sides, yeah.
And yeah, they're both obviously very good cricket teams. So I think those are going to be the big fixtures coming up. Obviously those guys are in the hunt as well. So yeah, I think massive finish of the season for us in the red ball, which is obviously going to be the focus as well. But obviously having the T20 quarter final and finals there to look at as well, it's obviously a really exciting period to be part of the club again.
Yeah, great occasion.
Yeah.
Finals day in the
Yeah.
So absolutely. I mean, the growth from last season to where you are now is incredible. Like I said, you're top of Division 2. You're in the quarterfinals of the Blast.
Yeah.
Is there a plan? Obviously, you get back into Division 1. What's the plan to sort of continue the growth, or have you not worked that out yet?
Great question. I think the sole focus has been purely on getting back into Division 1 at the moment. I think we're still a fair way away from that. 5 games is a long time, so over a third of the season. So there's a lot of cricket to be played. So our focus will definitely still be on that until hopefully that happens. We haven't really spoken about it, obviously, because I think everyone's just focuses on making sure we get the job done from where we are. But if I'm thinking about that, I think naturally we will become a stronger team next year anyway because of the extra experience. We've got a lot of players under the age of 23 that play in our first class side, and people like Jack Carson and James Coles who spent winters away with England Lions recently. Tom Haynes has done the same. I think we have got seriously good young players that are sort of going to be around for hopefully a long time. And if we continue to develop those players as well as have sort of the experienced players at the other end that are able to sort of help in moments that are sort of crucial in fixtures, which I think has been obviously, as I said earlier, like key for us this year, is a bit more experience to help win games. I think if we can continue to keep sort of the experience alongside the growing potential of the younger players, I think we'll be in a really good place next year, promotion or not, to continue growing as a side.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Fynn, go back, a good few years now. Time flies by, but Sussex were winning trophies, by the shed load, really, that period under Chris Adams.
Yeah.
Is there a sense that the club is beginning to get back to a kind of level where it can challenge that again? Obviously, this year, you've taken big steps forward, haven't you? Is Sussex getting back to that stage, do you think, where you're kind of up there?
I hope so. I mean, that has been a long time. That was 15 years ago now. I think, what was it, 2008, 2009 we won the last time we won a trophy? So, yeah, it's a long time ago now. It's a positive time to be around the club. It's incredible to think about the names of players and how good we have had, how good of players we've had come through the door and in and out sort of in the last 10 years. Yeah. I mean, we haven't been in Division 1 for 10 years, so think about that. That's crazy to think as well, that hopefully it'll be a 10 years and no more. We're back up there next year, but it's been a strong rebuilding phase since I came back to the club. The last sort of 3 years has been, there's been some very dark days in the last 3 years since I've been back here, but they've all been sort of building towards hopefully what is going to be a successful period for the club. I mean, as I said just now, about how many very, very talented young players we've got who are now not just talents, but they're actually performing consistently. Hopefully that means that there will be success over the next period of time, because obviously that's what everyone wants. So you don't just want to play the game for the sake of playing it and being in the middle or the bottom end. You want to be contending to win trophies and obviously getting back into Division 1 and then hopefully the next few years contending to win that as well. So those are the main goals. Hopefully it's a sign that we are going in the right direction. I mean, obviously the last 2 years have sort of felt like in red ball cricket we've definitely gone up a step. White ball obviously this year was a bit of a finding out, sort of. We didn't really know what we were going to be like, and obviously it's gone really well so far, so hopefully that continues to improve as well, and hopefully we can build a really positive sort of 3 or 4 years, 5 years, hopefully more. But that is the aim, but I think it's too soon to sort of be able to completely guess if it's going to be a successful time, but I think everyone's pushing towards it, so we can only hope. But we'll keep working hard and fingers crossed.
Was there a considerable amount of pain during that rebuild when you first came back here then? Did you almost have to touch rock bottom as a team to come back up?
I remember a game at Leicester. I broke my hand. Yeah. I was batting at 4 or 5 in the game, and end of 2021 season, I'd just come back on loan before signing for the next 3 years, and we got put in, and I think I don't remember what we got. Ben Brown scored 100 and I broke my hand, so I was at hospital all day. It was a Sunday, so I had to wait in the hospital for about 7 hours to get my hand seen to. And I remember Brownie scored 100 and I think we got about 300 or 350. And it was like a very rain-interrupted game right at the back end of the season, like classic English summer, and it was just like melting it down for like 2 days. Yeah. And we were like, there's no way, it's just going to be a draw, might as well go home. The whole season was done, like us and Leicester were at the bottom of the pile. Like everyone was sort of like, right, let's go home, get the season done with and get on with things. And Leicester put on 470 or 480 in the second innings and put us back in for the last 40 overs on day 4,
Right.
and they bowled us out in 32 overs or something. And I remember just sitting there after the game, just thinking, wow, like, was this a good decision to come back? Like, was this, is the club really going to be going in the right direction? But yeah, that was probably the darkest day. It was almost, I think it was either the last game or second to last game. It was definitely my last game of the season. Yeah. And yeah, from there it's definitely gone the right direction, and the team, obviously the lads then, I mean the average age of the team is about 19, so you never really know what's going to come of it. But since then it's been good. Like the lads have, since that moment, that game's pretty much, it's still spoken about and joked about. It's been probably the darkest day that a lot of the lads have ever had on the cricket field.
You just don't ever want to go back to that era again.
Yeah, there was that, and there was a T20 here against Gloucester, and we were on 120 for 2, chasing 140, and we got bowled out. And it was on Sky Sports.
I shouldn't laugh at that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, that's grim, isn't it?
Yeah, those are the 2 fixtures that sort of everyone sort of jokes about being like the dark days, the rock bottom.
Wow.
Hopefully there's no more of those days left, and we can continue to go on the rise. But yeah, there was definitely times in the dressing room when people were sort of doubting if we were doing the right thing, or worried about what was to come, which is obviously a tough place to be as a collective. But glad to see it sort of pulled out the other side now.
You come through.
Yeah, now those days, instead of looking at them as dark days, I sort of joked about a little bit in the change room, like, oh, we're never going to be back there, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, don't speak too soon.
Yeah, understandably so. Everybody Sussex has got their fingers crossed.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely the last 2 years since then have definitely been on the rise, and hopefully continue to be so, yeah.
Nice positive end to that story, thank goodness. Yeah. Over to you, G.
They're talking about putting cricket in the Olympics now.
Yeah.
2020 cricket.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about? I mean, Great Britain has not a cricket team, has it? So
no.
I don't even know how.
I think I saw something on an article about Scotland and England coming together for it or something. I'm not sure if Ireland have their own team in the Olympics that anyway, so I'm not sure they would be involved. But I read it a couple of days ago that apparently England had approached Scotland or something to potentially get a team together between two nations. I don't know how it would all work. If they'd be like, you'd have to pick a certain amount of players
from both sides.
But you know, the football there's like under 23s or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's like you have to pick a certain amount of players in certain age groups. I don't know if it'll be the same in cricket or if it'll be like actual, like full strength teams. I don't know how that'll work, but yeah, I'm all for it. It'd be great. Hopefully they don't send out the strongest 11 and you can get
but this is how serious is everyone going to take it? That's supposed to be the thing.
So all the boys who actually are playing international cricket can take rest.
Yeah, in the middle of the summer it'll be as well, won't it?
Yeah.
It'll be like July, August. So,
so you can just compile a team of players who aren't the international players. But
I mean, cricket in general is growing.
Yeah.
It's grown massively, particularly in the women's game.
Yeah.
What do you think about the growth of women's cricket? And
it's been huge, isn't it? It's been massive. I think the 100 obviously has helped that a lot.
We were saying that on the way down.
The 100 exposure and the fact that the games are played on the same days at the same venues. Like, I don't know how many times women's cricket, like the women's team don't play here very often at Sussex, but that's just because of how the schedule works. And I imagine it's the same at most county teams.
Yeah.
So the 100, obviously getting the women out at the biggest grounds in England is only going to benefit them, but also expose the game, and being on the same day means that there's going to be the same audiences and stuff. So it's definitely growing. Obviously women's cricket's been taken off for the last few years anyway. Before the 100, it's been really taken off. Obviously the women's IPL and stuff now as well is getting loads and loads of traction, loads of money into that. Quite a few English girls went over to that as well this winter. So yeah, it's growing probably a lot more than the men's at this rate.
Yeah.
It won't be too far off in the near future where they'll be at a similar sort of level, I wouldn't imagine. So yeah, it's definitely taken off, and I think the PCA, the Professional Cricket Association, are getting more professional contracts for women this year as well, obviously with the Tier 1 stuff that's come out, and then the Tier 2 stuff to follow in, was it 3 years or something?
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot of professional sides as well. I think at the moment they just franchise it, don't they? But now there's actually going to be the county teams who are going to get funding and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely growing, and yeah, it's only going to benefit the game.
What are your personal ambitions? Do you set yourself targets in terms of, because you bat and bowl, so do you set yourself targets run wise? Do you think I'm going to hit this in the first class?
You know, just see what happens.
You don't think I'm going to? Because some people are I'm going to get this first class amount of runs this year. I'm going to get this first class amount of wickets. Do you set yourself those goals?
To be honest, I actually don't set any. I think I'm more. I actually spoke to our sports psych about this, Rebecca. She spoke to me at the start of the year, went for a coffee with her, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to get out of the season and stuff?" And I was like, "If I set goals, I think I get too numbers driven in my head, like about focusing on things, and it doesn't like reflect situational stuff or what's going on in certain fixtures or whatever. And then you just and then if you hit that mark, what do you do after that? Do you then just I'm done now.
It's a fair point.
Ridiculous. Like last year, I think I would never have guessed. Like last year, I scored nearly 900 first class runs, and I would never have guessed. I think in my career, I'd scored just over 1,000 before that. So if I had put a goal like, I want to score 500 runs this season, and then I was there in like June. So what do I do now?
All yours, lads. Off you go.
I'll run the drinks for the rest of the summer. So I really struggle with that. I think I'd get too. I like the team-based goal, because then obviously everything you do is like driven towards that. But I really struggle with personal goals, because either I think I set the bar too high, and then they seem unreachable, and then you just beat yourself up every week because you're not scoring 100, or they're too reachable, and then when you get there, you either have to reset them, and you don't know what's. I think it's just a ball.
Yeah, it's just a distraction. Then.
A lot of people work really well off them, but I've never really set time. Maybe I'd be a better player if I did. I don't know. Something to think about. I'm definitely more sort of team orientated, and then you sort of build your season around that. I think there's too many different situations that, especially being a middle order, sort of lower order batter, going into a lot of situations that are always a little bit different if you're thinking numbers based or stats based. I think you get yourself into trouble a little bit. So just sort of wake up every day's a new day, and sort of just go out and play a bit of cricket and enjoy it, and go home and repeat.
It's obviously working for you. That strategy.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I think that was both of them's attitude, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it's alright for him, wasn't it?
I don't drink as much as I don't think I get away with that.
That's on the camera now, so that's good. That's good that they know that. It's funny because like stats and numbers kind of take over so much these days. I don't know if you're into American sport at all, but like that's so driven by stats and numbers, isn't it? You can get caught up in it though. Do you know what I mean? Like you can obsess over it, I suppose, if you're a player.
It's very similar in T20s and stuff. Obviously, that's how a lot of franchise teams and stuff are picked, are basically off first 5 balls or stuff like that, like strike rates and what do they do at certain periods in each game. It's so stats driven now. Which I think is good, obviously, for analysis purposes, but I think if you pay too much attention to that stuff as a player, then it can sort of make you stall in progression and stuff, I think, because at the end of the day, the numbers are going to be what they are, but I guess what you define in your career is how many things you win or how you end up as a player at a certain club. I don't think people really remember the stats too much. So
absolutely, yeah. We can get so hung up on it in every sport these days. I think it just gets a bit too much, the stats and the numbers.
If you think about like some of the best players that you would think about that have ever lived, someone like Andrew Flintoff, like statistically, if you just took his numbers and looked at them like against the other greats of the game, you wouldn't think like someone like Jack Callis compared to Flintoff. You wouldn't ever like see them in the same bracket. But the amount of games that Flintoff won for England, just by the spells that he bowled or getting a 70 or 80, like whacking it at a time when they really needed it, that stands out a lot more in people's memories than what his numbers are.
Absolutely.
I mean, tell part of the story, the numbers, I always think. I must admit.
There's no, like, especially cricket stats, if you just go online and look at them, it doesn't say when they got their runs or when they took their wickets, it just says how many and what the averages are, which again, obviously if you do really, really well, then they'll stand out. But I think it doesn't take into account the big moments that you do it in. I think that's more important than getting 100 when you're 500 for 2.
Exactly. The important innings and the important runs and wickets. Yeah. I just want to take you back to coming back to Sussex and what that was like. Did you always think that was going to happen at some stage, or?
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't really on my radar, to be honest.
Really?
Until, it all happened a bit quickly, to be honest. I always loved the club, but the way, I got released when I was 20 from Sussex, and I didn't know if I was ever going to sort of even play cricket again, let alone be back playing it. So it's a crazy sort of turnaround. It was a little bit, I think the first year was really hard. Obviously, I told you when I first came back and we were struggling as a team, we didn't really know what direction we were going in. And then in pre-season 2022, I got a stress fracture in my back, and I was out pretty much the whole season. So it didn't really start too well. It almost was like, oh, here we go again, sort of thing. Like last time I played at Sussex, it all went to pot, and it's doing it again. But yeah, it's been great since then. Touch wood.
It's across everything.
Everything's sort of worked out since then. But yeah, it all happened very quickly at the time. I was out of contract at the end of the year at Derbyshire, and Sussex approached me, and it was sort of like, I love the club, I've always supported them. Even when I was away, I always used to keep up the scores and see who was doing well, and try and keep in contact with a few of the lads who I was close with when I was first there. So yeah, it was always, as soon as they sort of came in and spoke to me, I was always quite interested in it, and it was almost, I wanted to come back and set the record straight a little bit, like being at your boyhood club and it not going so well. I was hoping I'd come back sort of with a bit more experience in playing quite a lot of first class and T20 cricket at Derbyshire. I was hoping I'd be able to come back and sort of do that for Sussex, as well as hopefully help the team be successful. So still a long way to go in that, but yeah, the last sort of 18 months has been a lot better than the previous ones.
It's been on the right road. I mean, just in terms of like the dressing room, what interests me a little bit is what's the dynamic like in a county cricket dressing room these days? Have you got jokers and stuff in there? Because we hear all the time about how professional the games become, but hopefully you still are encouraged to kind of enjoy yourselves when you win and enjoy the journey and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. The lads, there's a lot of jokers in our dressing room. There's probably too many.
Oh, well, that's better than not enough.
No, it's good. It's actually, it's our dressing room, I've never really been a part of a dressing room that's so sort of together, I don't think.
Really?
Derbyshire was really, really good and close, but then here was just, it's quite funny, there's so many young, I think because a lot of the lads are so young and they've grown up together, they're sort of like, it feels like a sort of academy dressing room sometimes, because everyone's sort of been in the same sort of system growing up and everything, and sort of come through together. So it's always been very, very tight. A lot of jokes and yeah, the boys do have fun like away, but like we hang out together away from cricket and stuff as well. So it's not just the sort of work.
Yeah. Do you think that's helped the team's recovery?
I think so. I think it does play a massive part in just the lads. I think it helps with the like sort of, as we were saying about goals and stuff. I think if everyone's close, then you sort of all drive things together, and it's a lot easier to celebrate success of other people, and because you genuinely care about other people and you want them to do well. I think that it's massive in a dressing room. I don't think that can always be the case. I think sometimes it's a struggle in sports dressing rooms because there's always people competing against others for places and stuff. But I think the fact that we have a genuine squad of players, that there's 16 or 17 that could all be playing, and well, there's more than that, to be honest. There's 20 players that could all probably play in our first class side, and the fact everyone sort of drives together and enjoys each other's success is massive for our dressing room, and hopefully that continues to be the case and it keeps pushing forward. But yeah, I'd say it's huge.
So is there like does the team sort of socially integrate outside of the cricket? Do you go out and socialise and
for sure,
do things together? And
I think Farbs is like a big driver in that as well. Like he's always like celebrate success, celebrate the good times, because he always sort of says to me, and James Curley the same, sort of said to me a few times that enjoy the dressing room while you're sort of in it, and enjoy the good times, because when cricket's done, he said, you don't really get the same cohesion and environment in any other workplace. He said, so you've got to enjoy the good times. And I think with being in this bubble, this Hove sort of, this area sort of has its own own bubble. Like all the lads sort of live close by. There'd be 10 guys, 12 guys that all sort of live within a kilometre of each other. So I mean, if we've got a day off on a Tuesday, Wednesday, lads will go for a coffee or go play golf or whatever it is. We sort of hang out together quite a lot. Go for lunch, go for breakfast, whatever it is. Like lads are always sort of keen to hang out, which is what I think again only benefits the group, because when you're in a training, it doesn't feel like you're at work. It feels like you're just hanging out again, hitting the ball or bowling the ball in between. And there's a bit of like jovial sort of stuff in between, which is natural. But yeah, it's good fun.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like it. I think just to wrap up, Finn, just really want to talk to you about your kind of the aims for the next few weeks. Really, just to sort of recap.
Set myself some goals now.
Set yourself some goals. Let's. It's like the therapist couch. This has become now. What do you want to get out of the next few weeks? I mean, it's a crucial few weeks, isn't it, for us? Hopefully, next time we speak to you, you've obviously hopefully got a promotion on your CV and everything else. But what would you think is so key now to this end of the season? Just to sort of, what are you talking about as a team that is crucial to getting you over the line?
I think the energy is the biggest part. It's been a long year, long summer. Everyone you build up the whole winter for these moments like that you're going to be in for the next sort of 5-6 weeks. Yeah. So just make the most of it, enjoy it, but just bring the energy, I guess. Like, it's always hard at this stage of the season to be 100% every single day because the bodies are tired, the minds are tired. It's been a long stretch, but this is what we sort of play the game for, is the sort of finishing straight at the end of the season where you're in contention for things. I've had too many seasons where it gets to September and you're looking for when October comes because you're not in anything. You're out the T20, you're 8th in the championship, whatever, and you're like, when's the end coming? Whereas now it's the other way. It's like we can't wait to finish the season strong.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I think it's just bringing the energy and continuing that sort of drive we spoke about, having the whole squad together. And I can't see us not doing that. The way we sort of, as I said, the way we hang out and stuff together. So yeah, bringing that energy and commitment for the last 5-6 weeks, I'm sure we'll be in a positive place come October the 1st.
Fantastic. Fynn Hudson-Prentice, thanks for being our guest on the show, and make sure you follow Sussex through the rest of August and September to see how it pans out.
Hopefully positive.
Yeah. Top man, thank you for getting into the spirit. I really appreciate it as well. We're trying